All right, so we're going to go over just a couple more things with corrugated steel or corrugated material. There's a setting in sheet cam that you're going to have to be aware of when you do get everything set, and that's under job options. So in job options, you have something called rapid clearance. With corrugated material, your typical rapid clearance, which would be, move up 0.25 or 0.75 away from the material and move, can create an issue because you may be diving in a material that is, you may have an inch deep corrugation, and when your machine rises, it's going to just bump into the material. So you need to make sure that your rapid clearance is set for that. Now I have mine set at 2 inches to give me 2 inches of clearance between my start point and my essentially where my material decides to rise to. So I would go 2 inches on that one. That should be good. Outside of that, the other thing that I'd recommend is in operations, when you set your tool, you do want to make sure that your feed rate, I would recommend starting at 30 inches a minute to allow the machine to then go and properly contour that material in this particular case. Because again, your Z-axis only travels at 40 inches a minute, and in order to compensate for more aggressive angles, you're going to need to move slower this way, slower on your X-axis or your Y-axis, depending on how you're laying your material on your table, in order to compensate for that. So just take that into consideration as you're getting everything set. I keep my feed rate at about 30 when I get started. So we're going to go ahead and give you a little example of what that looks like on a machine. Let's move this over here. All right. So I have my machine set up, and we're just going to go ahead and zero her out on a corner of the material, and then watch her go at 30 inches a minute with the 40 inches a minute Z-axis travel. Also mentioned before we get started, you hear a lot of noise in the background. Before we get started, there is one set of tools that I use called the non-flow processor. This allows us to not touch off the material, and it's just a very useful thing on corrugated, because with angles and the torch coming down and touching it, it could easily move a thin gauge sheet of material, and we don't want that to happen because we don't want to lose positional accuracy. That is an issue with a touch-off on corrugated material. But since we're not doing that here, let's just go ahead and, let's go ahead and get her running. She goes up 2 inches, comes back down, and then there you have it. And you notice even at the beginning of that cut, I lost a bit of contact with the material. And that is an issue, as I actually didn't start far enough onto a corner for it to then take its delay time to start diving into the material. So just keep that in consideration as you're getting started. Make sure you are giving yourself enough of a lead in or a lead out before you start your cut on your material. Now this is a very aggressive 45-degree angle every 2 inches. Just not something you would typically see, but again, something to take into consideration. Just giving yourself enough material for start off.